There are a lot of kids here. And if we catch you with a homosexual, the rest of your life will be a living hell. And you will be caught. Don't think you won't be caught.
Somehow being gay was the most terrible thing you could possibly be. I just didn't understand that.
The CBS News Public Opinion Survey indicates that sentiment is against permitting homosexual relationships without legal punishment.
People talk about being in and out now. There was no out. There was just in.
It was as if they were identifying a thing.
He's a faggot. He's a sissy. Queer.
The Stonewall Bar was right in the center of where we all were.
We were at the back of the room. The police started coming in, raiding the bar.
First police officer that came in with our group said, "The place is under arrest. When you exit, have some identification." This time they said, "We're not going." That's it. We're not going.
Something snapped. It's like, what's this is not right.
And then more police came. All of a sudden, pandemonium broke loose.
I mean, this was the Rosa Parks moment, the time that gay people stood up and said no.
It was thrilling. It was the only time I was in a gladiatorial sport that, you know, I stood up in. I was proud. I was a man.
In the civil rights movement, we ran from the police. That night, the police ran from us. And it was fantastic.
Somewhere in Des Moines or San Antonio, there's a young gay person who all of a sudden realizes that she or he is gay, knows that if the parents find out, they'll be tossed out of the house. The classmates would taunt the child, and the Anita Bryans and John Briggs are doing their bit on TV, and that child had several options. Staying in a closet, suicide, and then one day that child might open a paper and it says homosexual elected in San Francisco, and there are two new options. The option is to go to California, stay in San Antonio and fight. 2 days after I was elected, I got a phone call, and the voice was quite young. It was from Altoona, Pennsylvania, and the person said, "Thanks. And you've got to elect gay people so that that young child and the thousands upon thousands like that child know that there's hope for a better world. There's hope for a better tomorrow. Without hope, not only gays, but those blacks and the Asians and the disabled, the seniors, the us's, without hope, the us's give up. I know that you cannot live on hope alone, but without it, life is not worth living. And you've got to give them hope. Thank you very much.
Code 3, room 200. I'm in the mayor's office.
311, 1023 for 1 moment. We're trying to ascertain what is happening. Room 237, please.
Get an ambulance over here. Get an ambulance. A unit over here. Get another ambulance over here. We'll get it.
I'll go over there and go. Okay.
Yeah, where are the victims going?
I don't know if they're going anywhere. They're supposed to, Harvey Milk and the mayor are supposed to be DOA.
As president of the board, as president of the Board of Supervisors, it's my duty to make this announcement. Both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed. suspect is Supervisor Dan White.
Suspect is Dan White.
Is he in custody?
He's not at this time. Thank you very much. No question.
Attention all units, suspect named Dan White. White male adult, 32 years, 6 feet, 185 pounds, wearing a 3-piece brown suit, considered armed and dangerous. Attention all units, the former Supervisor Dan White is now in custody. Repeating, former Supervisor Dan White is now in custody. KMA 438 clear.
Dan, what are you doing? Dan, why?
Scientists at the National Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta today released the results of a study which shows that the lifestyle of some male homosexuals has triggered an epidemic of a rare form of cancer. Robert Bazell now in Atlanta.
Bobby Campbell of San Francisco and Billy Walker of New York both suffer from a mysterious newly discovered disease which affects mostly homosexual men, but has also been found in heterosexual men and women. The condition severely weakens the body's ability to fight disease. Many victims get a rare form of cancer called Kaposi sarcoma. Others get an infection known as pneumocystis pneumonia. Researchers know of 413 people who have contracted the condition in the past year. 1/3 have died and none have been cured.
Death didn't scare me. It was living with this for a long time. That's more frightening than death.
Investigators have examined the habits of homosexuals for clues.
I was in the fast lane at one time in terms of the way that I lived my life, and now I'm not.
The best guess is that some infectious agent is causing it. Today, researchers here at the National Centers for Disease Control said they had found several cases where people who had been sex partners both had the condition. The scientists say this probably means they are dealing with some new, deadly, sexually transmitted disease. The investigators see this as a serious public health problem.
From an epidemic point of view, there have been more deaths from Kaposi sarcoma and pneumocystis pneumonia than have occurred with all the cases of toxic shock syndrome and the Philadelphia outbreak of Legionnaire's disease combined.
Researchers are now studying blood and other samples from the victims, trying to learn what is causing the disease. So far, they have had no luck. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Atlanta.
I have ordered Secretary Aspen to issue a directive consisting of these essential elements. 1, servicemen and women will be judged based on their conduct, not their sexual orientation. 2, therefore, the practice, now 6 months old, of not asking about sexual orientation in the enlistment procedure will continue. 3, an open statement by a service member that he or she is a homosexual will create a rebuttable presumption that he or she intends to engage in prohibited conduct, but the service member will be given an opportunity to refute that presumption. In other words, to demonstrate that he or she intends to live by the rules of conduct that apply in the military service. And 4, all provisions of the Uniform Code of Military Justice will be enforced in an even-handed manner as regards both heterosexuals and homosexuals. And thanks to the policy provisions agreed by the Joint Chiefs, there will be a decent regard to the legitimate privacy and associational rights of all service members.